Hello and welcome to Hindustan Times Online. Desi Martini, my name is Sandeep. Right now I have with me Mr. Tanuj Virvani. Well, the actor has done umpteen web shows and he's actually gearing up for a few more. And at the same time, he's also, dabbling on different content forms. He's actually looking for writing and directing his own films as well in the future. Hello, Tanuj, and welcome to the podcast.
Hi. Thank you so much for such a lovely introduction. That's really, really sweet of you. And it's a pleasure for me to be here. Well, not physically, but at least in spirit.
Firstly, you've got to tell me how did that very idea stem in your mind of making Anisht?
So the thing is, it all kind of started with the whole lockdown, right? Because we haven't been shooting. I have not been on a set for, I guess, 4 months now almost. That's an incredibly long period of time. And I just think it's important for anyone, especially a creative person, to kind of keep the engine running and not get rusty, whether it's in front of the camera or it's just writing or just coming up with creative stuff. So I started thinking, given the current situation and the many restrictions, I mean, you can't get the other actors to be a part of your stuff. You can't get access to equipment. A lot of things that we can't do. We can't just go and shoot anywhere we want to. So around that time, my family and me had decided to relocate to our farmhouse at Lonavala because we just figured nothing much is happening in Bombay right now. So keeping all these things in mind, I started writing, and it just kind of evolved. It became its own thing as we went along. I mean, I wanted to make something which was not like a straight up horror film, but was somewhere a cross between a crime saga and a haunted house movie, like a bit of a hybrid. And of course with a message. The message is very simple, that what goes around comes around. So that's why the entire story, the screenplay of this movie has been shaped like a donut. Like it kind of ends where it begins, but only thing is, he is the oppressor at the start, and at the end of the film, he is the oppressed. So that's how the entire evolution of Anish happened.
You know what? When I watched the film, there were certain things that actually strikes me.
Yeah.
I could actually gauge it even more precise because of the fact that I have a film background. I mean, I was a film student myself at SRFTI. So the short divisions, in the film, in the short, was I don't know. How do you call it out? Because for someone who's completely an actor and he's not really aware of. I mean, obviously, when you're acting and the director tells you
Yeah.
where to stand and how to look and which angle to
Yeah.
stand at in front of the camera and all of that, it's a different
Right.
ballgame altogether. You're doing it yourself. You're actually storyboarding it. You're actually writing it. Okay, इस
Right.
तरह से camera जाएगा. It's going to be a mid shot. It's going to be a long shot. It's going to be
Right.
nowhere.
Right.
OTS, whatever. How did you come up with the shots? Because the shots were very intriguing. The shot divisions I'm talking
So personally, I'd like to say that I have no formal training, either in acting or in filmmaking. I really don't. Whatever I've learned is by being on a set, either as an actor or being as an assistant director. That's how I started off in this business, and watching a lot of movies. So when it comes to this particular project, I had not written a screenplay. I had written a story treatment, and I'm like, I need to expand upon this. So I literally storyboarded the entire film. So we're shooting at the bungalow where I'm staying. So I would walk around over here and see, okay, how best can I stage a particular scene or a set piece, because they you have to build a film block by block, right? I mean, in this case, it was exceptionally challenging because there were hardly any other co-stars. It's just me. So I can't do the thing of
of. Right.
master, mid, close, OS. It would not kind of work like that, because for that you need two parties. So I storyboarded it right from start to end. So when I was actually shooting, I could focus on my performance and focus on the acting side of it instead of the directing side. Because like, I'm not answerable to anyone here, right? I mean, I'm the director also, and I'm the actor also. So, and because I haven't really done this kind of stuff before, so I tried to finish all the direction stuff in pre-production, and when I was on set physically, I was just trying to perform, and then I would review it and see, okay, how does it look?
What I was asking was, when I saw your film, the most intriguing part of it was the shot divisions and the way it was actually shot. And what came to me as a revelation was it was shot on an iPhone, which was
Yeah.
which was like a cherry on the icing for that matter. How did you?
Yeah.
Firstly, ऐसा लगा था, especially for a person who's always in front of cameras like Red, and who's always in front of cameras like a normal film camera and all of that. Uh, shooting with an iPhone, it wasn't a little clingy on on your senses for that matter?
No, see, honestly, it's just about getting used to the camera. The moment you start looking at the iPhone as a usable film camera and not just as a phone which happens to have a camera in it, your perspective changes. And what I did in this case is I bought a couple of lenses. So I bought a telescopic lens. I bought a macro lens for the extreme
I
close-ups, and
was actually getting to that. I
uh,
was getting to that because there were
I
some
bought an
shots which
anamorphic lens.
very much.
Yeah. So because the thing is the way this house is structured, it's large and it has a lot of open spaces.
Hmm.
So since I was shooting the film in the day, I was like, this is going to be an added challenge. So I want to create a bit of well, trepidation and uncertainty and doubt in the audience's mind based on the size of the frame, because you never know. I mean, there may be something happening in the foreground, but you're not quite sure what's happening in the background. So
Hmm.
stuff like that. So I think lensing and framing is extremely important, and I actually learned a lot about that during the process
Very
and before
important, exactly.
this particular movie. So that was one thing. And apart from that, there's this really cool app which I would recommend to all aspiring filmmakers out there. It's called Filmic Pro. It's something that is made specially for the iPhone. And trust me, man, once you use that, you really can do so many different things. You can adjust the lighting, you can change your aspect ratio. It gives you like heat signatures on like if something is overexposed. A lot of different things can be done. So you really stretch the limits of what is possible from your smartphone. So I did all of that, and I also tried to have some subtle special effects in the film. Like, I mean, if you've seen the film, then you would know that there's that creature in the house. So actually, there was only one, but we
Yes.
kind of multiplied him. Then there's a shot in the mirror where I kind of look back and smile at myself. The evil me looks back at me and stuff. So there are a few trick shots. So I learned a little bit about all this. I'm quite curious as a person, and um, like even when I watch a movie, I like to know how a certain shot was done. Especially if it was done practically. Um,
Hmm.
like nowadays, I feel we're so overtly dependent on VFX and CGI and chalo post mein dekh
Yeah.
lenge. But sometimes when things are done on camera, like I really respect a filmmaker like Chris Nolan, because most of the stuff he does. I was watching something recently on Tenet, and he apparently blew up a Boeing 747 for the movie, which is absolutely insane. And that kind of
Hmm.
stuff is really laudable when you're doing stuff on camera. So in my own little way, I just kind of wanted to see what could I achieve on camera. Yeah.
From the conversation that I'm having with you right now, it's one time. I feel as though the lockdown has been a sort of a boon as far as you are concerned, especially because of the fact that you have tried to hone your skills. You've tried to actually, look forward to various avenues to kind of, let your creativity flow for that matter. Uh,
Yeah.
how has the overall situation been? How has I mean, especially with the atmosphere that's so it's tinctured with grief and it's tinctured with remorse and it's tinctured with all sorts of negativity. How have you been holding up? Besides the fact that you have made this
Um,
short
see,
for the movie.
that's a very good and relatable question. See, to be honest, I also have my good days and my bad days, because now we're talking. It's been over what
Hmm.
110 days since lockdown was first imposed, and even though people, I mean, you may want to call it unlock or whatever you want to call it, but for me, it's a
Yeah,
lockdown.
it's still a
Until
lockdown, exactly.
until and unless we do not feel 100% safe going out and getting back to our lives, to our routines, I don't see any change at
Exactly.
all. So there has been a struggle. Sometimes internally, sometimes externally. Externally is more like you feel like worried because work is not happening, and there's no income right now, and like whoever you speak to, people don't sound very chirpy. Like in the first few weeks was still fine, but with each passing week, I could see their spirit and their optimism just kind of corroding. And that's but human nature. That's but natural for it to happen. So I started looking inwards. I started telling myself that I need to be here and I need to be my own best friend, and I need to do what is best for me right now. And it's not often, with the crazy lives that we lead in a city like Bombay, especially being part of the industry, that we don't get a lot of downtime. So I took this downtime and I'm like, what are the things where you have that you gravitate towards, that you have a vocation for, but you haven't really attempted as yet. So this was one of them. Cooking is one of them. Cycling is something that I've started voraciously doing. So I've got a cycle. I go every day, spend about an hour and a half cycling in the hills. Just stuff that you wouldn't do otherwise. And I don't want anyone to think that I am on some kind of extended holiday or break while everybody else is suffering. No, I mean, that is not the case. But we have to find a way to keep our sanity and state of mind intact, right? Because hopefully over a period of time, all this will come to an end, and then we have to get back to the way things were. And it's going to be incredibly difficult if our spirits are already flagging. So in a lot of ways, when I put out content and when I indulge in all these different things, it's more for myself, because
Right.
I want to go to bed every night feeling that kuch to kiya aaj. Otherwise, if you just sit and
A
wallow,
fulfilling kind of an experience.
yeah. So I think that's extremely important. That that it necessarily does not need to be something big. Uh, like baby steps every day, just little by little, drop by drop. You get closer to where you want to be, and hopefully, if we learn something as human beings and as well as an actor, because we're constantly observing other people and stealing their personalities and making them our own in the characters that we essay. So I'm just trying to do that. Like it on the surface of it, it all sounds very easy and fun and great and all, but
Yeah.
this is an unprecedented time for everyone, no matter what work you are, no matter young, old, whatever it is. What I mean? So just trying to make the most of it. Yeah.
Mhm. Tanuj, in the last few days, there were a few news articles about you being a part of this web series that you were actually planning to shoot mid-July with Madhwan, with Jimmy Shagil.
Yeah.
What's with that right now?
So the one with Madhavan is going to be the one that rolls first. It's called Seven Sense. It's a whodunit. It's kind of set in a confined space in one night, and there's a murder, and it involves like which out of these guests has done it. It's very Murder on the Orient Express meets the Agatha Christie meets the old Hitchcock kind of movies. So really interesting premise. As to when we go and shoot it, see, Dubai has already opened, and they are currently in the process of working out doing all the paperwork and stuff. I don't know whether we'll be able to fly commercially, but we might do a chartered flight, and our producer might fly us down over there, and then we'll get cracking on. So that should hopefully roll. I can't tell you an exact date because I don't know myself, but hopefully soon. Yeah.
All right, okay. Besides that, what exactly are your plans post the lockdown? Once the lockdown is lifted, how do you actually plan to go about things? Are there
Um,
anything?
See, I was actually in the middle of shooting this All Balaji show called Cartels. It's a show that I'm really excited about, and we still have a significant amount of work left, about maybe 25, 30 days of my work left on it. I've been shooting for it since last October, so I will resume shoot on that once the producers and the team give us the thumbs up that we can get back to work. I have a day of shoot pending on Inside Edge season 3. I've got a day of shoot pending on this one other Amazon show called Kamati Pura, which I'm doing with Meera Chopra. So these are the pending commitments, and hopefully I'll go to Dubai, shoot that thing, and come back and then dive into Codem season 2. And once I'm done with Codem season 2, then I will start the Jimmy Shergill web series, which is called Line of Fire. It's like a political drama somewhere on the lines of Homeland. So touch wood. I mean, there's a decent amount of work going on, but as I said,
Exactly.
man, is up in smoke right now. So just don't know.
Absolutely. Tell me a little bit about your mother. How is she holding up, and how have her equation been? How has your equation been with you during the lockdown? Has it
Yeah.
strengthened, become more?
I mean, so it's not ideal, yeah, because she basically spends half her time in Poland, where my Masi lives. They've started a chain of 5 restaurants together. So she's really kicked and really like going all out and towards doing all of that right now. And she left, I think, on the 9th of March, which was literally just before lockdown started. And now, of course, she can't come back till things get better because international air travel is not permitted. Plus, she's traveling with a dog, so that kind of
Okay.
complicates everything, right? So we obviously keep in touch on a daily basis, FaceTime, Zoom calls, stuff like that. So she's very much in tune with what's happening in my life. But in a way, I'm happy that she's there because things in Poland are a whole lot better as compared to what they are currently in India. That is just the reality of the situation. So as much as I miss her, I am happy that she's in a safer environment. Yeah, but I do miss her a lot.
You're right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Acha, before I let you go, Tanuj, one last question, and perhaps one of the most pertinent questions of the entire interview is, with the death of Sushant Singh Rajput and
Yeah.
how things have really become, a little bit questionable as far as Bollywood is concerned, and people in Bollywood is concerned, netizens going all out, hurling all sorts of accusations on them. What is your stand in it, and how do you look at it? Do you really think that the nepotism thing that's being, as of now, according to me, it's being blown out of proportions? Do you think that something does not even exist, and the fact that the producers are actually, uh, you know, uh, putting in money behind who they want is
Yeah.
right or wrong? According to me, it's perfectly
Okay.
fine because it's their money,
So
it's
two
their
things.
choice.
Firstly, like you said right now, yes, it is absolutely being blown out of proportion. Does nepotism exist? Absolutely, it does exist. Um, I happen to be in a kind of catch-22 situation over here, because a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're a star kid. It should be easy for you." But I can assure you, and all you guys have seen my career trajectory, so you all know the work that I've done, and you all know the work that I did that actually kind of catapulted me into a different league, right? Um, your parents or your influence within this industry can only take you so far, because at the end of the day, it is the audience that makes you or breaks you. That's what my belief is, plain and simple. Yes, if you are related to someone, or if you have a godfather in the industry, it does make access easier. Initially, when I also came into the industry, getting access to meeting a producer, a director, an actor, a casting director for that matter, was easier. But after maybe your first or your second project, and especially if they do not do well, man, it gets extremely difficult, because that's real hard-earned money that people are putting on you. It's like you want to back the winning horse in the race. Now you don't care कि किसका pedigree क्या है. You are going to be like, no, इस बंदे में दम है. We want to put our money on so and so person, and that's the way it is. Coming to nepotism, which industry does it not exist in? Yeah, especially in a country like India, where we are all about family. It could be any line of work. It could be an investment banker, a doctor, a lawyer, a businessman, a real estate developer, any line of work. You will always obviously want
Absolutely.
your kin to do well, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the way it's been blown out of proportion in the see, it's extremely sad. And I did not know Sushant personally as an acquaintance. I have a lot of very dear friends who were close friends of his, and my heart really goes out to them, because they are the ones, I believe when someone takes such a drastic step, it's the people
Yeah.
you leave behind have to suffer the most, and maybe have those scars for the rest of their lives, right? It's crazy. It's extremely saddening. But to um, I personally feel like what's happening, say, with Karan Johar, Alia Bhatt,
Hmm.
Sonam, Salman Khan, and everyone else involved, I don't think that's fair. What is happening is people are taking one clipping out of a coffee with Karan, or some chat show, or some interview given, and when you play clips in isolation, especially at a sensitive time like that, they are bound to look a whole lot worse than they were. Many things were said in jest. Many things were said at that time. You have to look at things objectively and not in a subjective manner. So I feel people really need to be a little more responsible and considerate. I mean, I just felt a lot of people started talking and making it about themselves and their own struggles before even understanding that maybe his fans, his friends, and especially his family needed time to grieve, because to lose him in the prime of his life, I mean, he had everything. He had the world at uh, the world was his oyster, but maybe it wasn't enough for him, and that's a personal choice. And whatever happened, he knew what he was doing, and we have to respect the fact that he is no more. But to drag other people down and to call them murderers and call them all sorts of names, yeah, even those people have families, like, why would you want to scar more people? I feel there's too much negativity, and I feel a large part of this is because of social media, because people have started misinterpreting opinion as fact. You're you are entitled to your opinion. We are a democratic, free country. You can say whatever you want to, and I can either choose to agree or disagree. But our opinions do not become facts. Even with journalism, largely there are very few houses which actually I want to open the papers to actually read their articles because I feel they're giving their point of view and their opinion. They're not reporting the facts anymore. Not just when it comes to this entire Sushant Singh Rajput thing, but everything. So I just feel we really need to do some introspection here because it's extremely sad what's happening, but there's a way. I understand different people have different ways of grieving, but to go around on this accusational spree and blaming people who are not responsible. Yeah, you tell me something. At least Sushant got the opportunity of working with a Dharma, with a YRF, with so many of these amazing production houses. What about the rest of us? What about actors who will in their lifetime never get a chance to do that? So then everybody should say that let's just take a drastic step. No, that's not the solution. No. He never openly blamed anyone. He never said anything. Maybe he was
Yes.
going through so many things. Yeah, the human mind is very complicated. Yeah, like people may seem something on the outside, but you don't know what they may be feeling or what they may be going through in their own lives or
Right.
personally and stuff. So I just feel people are using a really sad situation for their own vested interest, and that is the crime. That is the crime.
Absolutely. All right. I don't really want to end the interview on this serious note. So,
Yeah.
in order to lighten the mood a little bit, the final question that I have, even though I said was my last question, the last question that I have for you is, what exactly? How would you see yourself, in the industry? And the fact that in one of my interviews as well, you had mentioned that you actually wanted to, writing and direction and going to the and going to the production side of
Right.
filmmaking.
Right.
What exactly are your plans? Just a little bit elaboration on that. Elaborate on
Firstly, when anyone asks me nowadays, what are your plans? I'm like, well, I had lots of plans in 2020 happened, so I stopped making plans.
that.
Sorry, but no. But jokes apart, I see. As of now, I'm 33, but for me, my career just started 2 years back with Inside Edge. I just don't look at anything that I did before that because I feel that was my very steep learning curve, and I think I've learned my lessons, what to do, and more importantly, what not to do. For the next few years, I've decided to focus more on acting, maybe solely on acting because I want to get better at it. I want to bring a certain amount of credibility to a project that if you guys think that okay, Tanuj is part of it, so it must be good, because we kind of make that distinction when it comes to certain actors. You don't necessarily have to look at the entire picture. If you're like for me, I'll give an example. If an Amir Khan is part of a project, I don't care what the story is. I'm like, it will be a quality project. So for me, I
Okay.
want to reach that position where where my name is synonymous with good work. So that's the important thing. And yes, in the future, I would like to go behind the camera, direct, maybe write also. I do enjoy writing. But I'm not thinking about it too much right now. I mean, I don't want people to read too much into it currently because I've made this short film and all. This is more a means to an end. This is a way of staying occupied. This is a way of staying creatively on point. But it's not a sign of things to come, at least not in the foreseeable future.
All right. Okay. Fair enough. It was a lovely conversation with you, Tanuj. I really
Thank
look
you,
forward to having many
thank you
more
for
such
weathering,
conversations.
thank you for weathering the storm with me with my network issues. I'm really glad that we managed to get an entire interview in the bag.
Well, you see what's supposed to be happen. What will happen will happen. I mean, nothing can be
Absolutely,
done about it. So I'm really
absolutely.
happy the
That's
fact that
that's
we
the,
actually.
that's the spirit. That's the correct attitude to have.
I really hope I get to speak to you even a lot more in the near
I
future.
hope I get to
So,
meet you
lovely
face to face now.
conversation.
यार अभी बहुत हो गया ये Zoom call है. We will,
Exactly.
God
Exactly.
willing.
All right. So with that, we come to the end of this lovely conversation with Tanuj Virvani. My name is Sandeep with Desi Martin. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.